Most of you may know that are watching this video and watch my channel that you can make a lot of money through real estate wholesaling, but do you know about the ugly side of wholesaling? Hey, what is going on everyone? Devin can help you with another video, and today I'm going to talk about the ugly side of real estate wholesaling, because obviously you see all these people making a lot of money, but a lot of you guys are asking what's the catch, or maybe you're a real estate investor looking to buy from a wholesaler, or whatever it may be, and you're maybe just a little bit skeptical about the business. And so there are a couple things inside this business that really just give it a bad rep, and it's just, you can call it whatever you want, and I'm just going to cover it all inside of here, and maybe at the end of the video, drop your opinions down below, and we'll have a discussion about it. But what it really breaks down to is there's like legalities, it's like really definitely in the gray area as far as whether or not it's legal, and there's like all these different workarounds that work in different states and all that type of stuff, but you make a lot of money doing it. So you really have to make sure that you talk to an attorney, as if you do exactly what you do in one state and then you try and do it in another state, it may not work out. So you have to understand that every state's going to be different, so you're going to have to make sure that you're doing it appropriately and talk to the right people inside of your state to make sure that, like, maybe you have to do a double closing, maybe you can do an assignment, and maybe they can pay you a fee up front for finding the property for them. You really have to figure out what's going on inside of your state and what you can do in order for it to be legal, and you're not going to get in trouble with the realtor's commission inside of your state. And so now the biggest problem that wholesalers basically get a bad rep for is, I'll put you guys through a scenario. Pretend you're selling your home and you end up selling your house to someone that claims that they're a cash buyer. They're going to pay for your house all cash, and they're going to close in like 7 days, or let's say 14 days. And you're all excited. You finally agreed on a price and you sign it up and everything. You sign a contract with them, and then they say they send it to a title company. You call the title company, it's there and everything's good to go. And then the deadline keeps coming closer and closer, and they even have a few people they want to walk through real quick, and you're like, okay, whatever. And then after, like, they call them business partners, and then after all this is said and done, the wholesaler calls you up, or the person that says they're buying it with cash, like a day before closing, and saying, hey, I can't do this anymore, I'm gonna have to cancel the contract. And they're not gonna have to lose any money or anything like that, because there's contingencies in the contract. Imagine how heartbroken you would feel if you were in this scenario. If you're the seller selling your property, you get dragged along this whole time, and then last minute you find out that the wholesaler can't buy the property, or the quote-unquote cash buyer, as they told you. And this is one of the biggest problems that comes with wholesaling. Now, obviously, there's like the other side of where people think you're brokering a contract and whatnot, but this is where like people get the most upset about it. Is you drag them along this whole period, and last minute you cancel on them. And this is what a lot of newbie wholesalers do, and maybe a few experienced ones, and they're a little bit scummy. And it's totally wrong to do this unless there's nothing out of your hand that can stop a cash buyer from canceling last minute, but you still get their earnest money, which I would highly recommend you give to the seller if you have to end up canceling. If you I would give them a small share of it or something, at least something that's like worth their time. Or else if you just pull out, don't even get a cash buyer, like after dragging them along this whole period, then they're going to be really upset with you, and they may call some people up and report you for doing this. So what I recommend is, as soon as you get it under contract, you work like fire. You try to do whatever you can to find a buyer for this property. And if you can't find a buyer within like a maximum of 5 days, I recommend like on average like 3 days. If you can't find a buyer, cancel the contract as soon as possible, so that way you're not going to drag the seller along this whole process of just basically wasting their time. Because what the seller could do is just go out there and try to find a different buyer, or just throw it up on the market at that point in time. So no reason to just keep dragging them along this process. Now, obviously, there are some of you that try to renegotiate the contract and everything because you just have it priced too high. And which you should still just cancel it as soon as possible, and then from there talk to the seller and tell them that you have to cancel the contract, and then maybe try to get the price at a different price than what you did before. But the problem with most beginner wholesalers is that they get these houses at way too high, which isn't a problem. I say kudos to you for taking massive imperfect action. But if you're going to drag the seller along on this journey, that's pretty upsetting, as like I understand where the seller's coming from. And just understand that the seller is a person too, and they have time, and they have certain deadlines on different things, and you just got to make sure that you are doing your best effort to try to help them out and trying to find a buyer for this property as quick as possible. Now, the side that's like about brokering the contracts or whatever, brokering, like people can claim that you're brokering real estate or whatnot. That's where you just got to make sure that you're talking to a local attorney, because it really it'll screw you over if you're not doing it right inside of your state. Some states are pretty loosey-goosey, and they let you do whatever you want inside the state, basically, as long as you just get it all written up in paperwork. And then there's other states where it needs to be really, really defined and specific that you're going to be double closing or assigning the property, which in most of my contracts, I have an assignment clause inside of there. But on top of it, inside of my state, like, it's just assumed that you're going to sign the deal unless you mark otherwise inside of a contract. So really, at the end of the day, the lesson learned in this is go out there and make sure that it's like, talk to somebody that's had experience inside of your state before you do this. Now, you could obviously just go talk to a title company or a closing attorney, and they'll do it for free. But if you best case scenario, you go to an attorney, make sure you get all the contracts right, get all the different paperwork, and making sure that all your marketing will work inside of your state. So that way you won't get into any legal trouble or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I'm not giving you guys legal advice or anything like that, but at the end of the day, when I got started, I went out there and just went out and made some money, just went out there and did it. And then it turned out, like, after doing like 3 or 4 deals, I was doing everything wrong, even though I already got paid out on a couple of deals, and nobody really told me I was doing anything wrong. So then I ended up stepping it up and realizing, hey, I need to switch things up. And then that's when I kind of put the money out there to get things fixed. But you guys just really understand, try not to drag people along, and just make sure things are legal in your state. And that's how you stay out of the ugly side of real estate wholesaling. Now, if you're an investor as well, just make sure that these wholesalers are giving you actual deals and everything. Because part of it is, if they're a little bit more experienced and they've been doing it for a long time, the really good deals that they come across, they're just going to keep it themselves. And then kind of like the okay, whatever deals, they're going to pass it on to somebody else. Unless they don't have a lot of capital to be able to flip these houses, then they really don't care how cheap they get it for, because they can't afford it. So just really understand that, and just make sure you do your numbers really well before you buy a property from a wholesaler. But at the end of the day, it's a pretty solid business model. You just got to make sure you're doing things right, and you're giving great deals to people with cash to buy the properties. But anyways, thank you guys all for watching today's video. Hope you all enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, join the fam, join the gang by hitting the subscribe button down below. And like always, I am uploading every day, so I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.